No. Hello. Strange green. Hello. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I said that in my head a second ago. I've just daffed this up, probably. Anyway, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, you join me again for more science fiction. No, it's not really. This is genuine. This is history today. History in the past. No, it's in the past. I'm in a suit. Yes, nice. I own a suit. I'm thinking for the next season, I'm probably going to be wearing more suits, okay? This suit is quite a new suit, actually. I've got another jacket, which is a bit more worn, I guess. And this tie. I don't know what this tie for a job interview, but I did actually used to wear a tie like this every day for school, because I was, in school. Yeah. Anyway, tonight, the topic we're talking about, if I haven't already scared you off, is I should relax. Tonight the topic we're talking about is the Tsar of the old imperial realms, I guess, and there's been several Tsars, and particularly the last one, I believe was called Alexander. I won't talk about him too personally because I don't know him personally or anything really much about him. History is one thing to go on, for sure, but it can be skewed. So I'm not going to make too many opinions on any particular person, but I respect all those people and everybody and everyone in history alike. Anyway, for this particular person, Tsar, had a mage or a magician, I believe, who I think his name was Rasputin, right? And I would like to just go into the idea of not only having a Tsar in the modern age, and why maybe we don't, but also the idea of mages and all this sort of imperialism. Because immediately we'll talk about magi, because magi, appears a lot in old sort of fable and legend and the Bible, all these sorts of things. And I think it's pretty much where the word magician comes from. Obviously, as you might notice, I don't do a lot of fact checking in my videos, and this isn't, these aren't infomercials. These are just sort of interesting poise, I guess. But mages obviously were quite wise men. The three wise men were the three kings, whatever, and they were magi. And I think a lot of places had their wise people, and for some reason, where we moved into this sort of metropolitan maybe ideologies, we've sort of lost these sort of characters. It could be quite a shame, because obviously there were people who were just tied in and dedicated themselves to being decent people and helpful people and dedicated people, clearly walked the length of the earth, all within the same mindset of servitude to God. I mean, there's different schools of magic, but for the most part, from what I recognise in the ones that in text that that crop up for me anyway, they're religious peoples and quite decent people that would travel on foot long stretches of the world to see other people who are appointed in the power of God or such, be it Jesus or others are. Now, majesty and kingship and all these sorts of things, they are tied in, especially in my opinion, with with like appointancy from God and being obviously the word majestic or majesty and all these sorts of things knowledgeable and under God's sort of, you're in line with God, okay? So it's actually a religious phenomenon, as well as it's not just something, it's not just, oh, you're a king of an area. You have to be, under the influence of a particular spirit, ideology of God, particularly the one true God. So it makes sense for these people to have mages, and you think, oh, well, how much magic can these people do? But I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I don't know if many of us have. But, like, miracle is, things do miraculously happen. Now, whether they're scientific or not, whether there's some knowledge of which we're missing, but, if you prepare life in certain ways, in certain environments, in certain thought patterns, things respond differently. If you prepare something before a medical treatment, the medical treatment can respond well or better. So I still do believe, that these people could have some influence into how life, as a word which I don't know, just left my mind, how life responds to each other, let's say. So, I've still got a lot of time for it. And obviously, if these things can benefit us, why would we not want that? Now, this does lead me to believe that potentially there's a lot of power in all these things, influence and such, and illusion and delusion, all these sorts of things. So potentially, we might not want these sorts of things to be in the modern world. But would we necessarily not want a Tsar? Okay. Now you're saying, you look at me and you say, oh, this guy is anarchist, all these sorts of things, right? Whatever the hell you think that means. Why would he care about a monarch? Traditionally they're anti-monarchy, aren't they? But I don't know, if you look into, not saying not, but if you look into anarchy and stuff, there's a lot of Christian anarchists, and immediately you might think, well, Christian anarchy, they don't go, well, why wouldn't they not? So I personally think respecting people who are in line with God, and respecting all people, because I think everyone should be respected and revered and all these sorts of things. So for me to have somebody who is a reflection of greatness and majestic being, I think it's a good thing. And as long as people aren't being exploited, that's a problem with that. And if having some found respect for each other would reflect better on societal dynamics, that can only be a good thing. Because anarchy isn't about chaos. It's what they want you to believe, and people fending for themselves and all this sort of stuff. No, it's about people not being exploited in power. So if everyone came together in the same idea, and they all had the same idea, and everyone was, actually respected, that would still be an anarchy. Just because everyone be thinking exactly the same thing, helping each other out or whatever it would mean, that would be the definition. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So anarchy can go in many directions, as can anything. But anyway, we're not talking about anarchy today. We're talking about a Tsar. So a Tsar is supposed to be, there's several spellings of it, right? And whether this actually goes into, because I've started to think maybe letters symbology is actually denotes something to do with the letters themselves have their own particular values or meanings, underneath just the phonetical, to me anyway. So potentially, maybe the different spellings aren't necessarily. Sorry, that looks a bit crooked. The letters aren't different area spellings of different country spellings of different languages, but they're actually, they denote different variations of what the Tsar represents. Like some would a C and a Z, and some are with a T and an S, and all these different things. Maybe, I don't know, could be wrong. But different reflections of what this power denotes and what it means to be this person in the world. And I don't know, I think I'd quite like the idea of an imperial age, because you would potentially, as long as it's not imposed, as long as it just exists, it gives you more choice, because that's always the issue with these things a lot of the time, especially in politics at the moment. People wait to get into power to do anything, and it's always one party's in control, and it upsets me and annoys me, because you see these politicians on the screen, not to look too political right now, talking about what they will do with all the money, all the taxpayers' money. They're supposed to be big old businessmen who know what they're doing, who've got millions and millions to spend on their campaign, but they never talk about what they are doing, or how they're spending their money, or what the party's already doing. Because why do they need to exist in our lives before they can exist in their own lives? If they're so brilliant, why aren't they doing anything for us already? And people might actually, not saying they aren't, but I would like to hear more of what political parties are already existing and doing, and people can operate within the party, and then that party comes into power. Not, oh, when I am in power, when I've got all your money, here's how all the different ways I'm going to let you down. Do you know what I mean? That's not what I want to see. So, what I'm saying is, if there was an imperialism, you'd have the choice of either I keep saying metropolitan, but a metropolitan world and an imperial world coexisting, because you can measure things in units. A drink is a drink. The amount of liquid is in it is how you measure it is up to you. But you're going to say, oh, well, it's illegal now to measure in fluid ounces, isn't it? Where you're just going to use milliliters. It's going to change that liquid, is it? So choice for me, I think, is a good thing. And the things that come along with imperial realm, the more you measure stuff, the more you can actually come at it and stuff. So life could potentially grow, and that's a good thing. I know there's a lot of council culture these days, and people are just quite miserable, or maybe, I don't know, happy to settle. But personally, I like the ideas of all these glorious things and tasty things for cheap prices, pretty much. Stuff like that. That's what I want to see. And I'd quite happily like to respect an empire, be it European or be it, Asian, Eurasian, and all of these places. There's no reason why we can have all of this. At least, I don't know, if America wants to be America and do their cents, but also their inches, all right, and they want to be the metropolitan side of the world. Metropolitan, right? If they want to do that, I guess they could. And then us on the other side of the world, we could do milliliters and just be an empire, I guess. Weird face there. Do you see what I'm saying? And we could actually travel around on our trains, people coming in our carriages. Would you like some glorious steamed buns, my friend, with a bit of honey and all these sorts of things, and wine and all this great stuff? And we could speak this incredible language with, all these symbols and stuff flying around. That could be quite interesting. And wear nice clothes and, have beautiful women, all these sorts of things. It would be quite nice. But what we're going to talk about a bit further on in the season, especially next week, we are actually going to go into more of a personal aspect of maybe old world ideas and old social structures, at least as far as I see them, and sort of how our history as people, and people who you might not even be able to identify as because they have been destroyed by the centralists. Because we talk about the art notions between the Goths and the Romans, and how they destroy each other's works, and how little history there is actually of, say, Gothic people, for example. I'm actually going to talk about, you know, how potentially our history of our people and people who were like mages and all these sorts of things, all these titles which we still possess, still exist, have actually been taken from us, you know, and how they can coexist and do exist and should exist, all this sort of thing, into like a video. But I haven't really talked about the Tsar enough or Magi. But it's an interesting thought, isn't it? It's nice to think about. And if, you know, I'd quite like to interview some people on this subject, maybe, and maybe even do a bit of a cultural travel. So hopefully, maybe when the travel ban like stops, I might even be able to, you know, go around Russia, maybe if I got invited, or other parts of Europe, or even Asia, explore their empires and stuff, everywhere, all over the place, and maybe explore this idea. And it can be quite a culturally enriching experience. Now, hopefully, you know, I don't just want to be, oh, let's all sit down on our sofas, you know, and watch our TVs, which I don't know if people even do anymore, and watch, you know, a documentary on history. Do you know what I mean? I want to be actively pursuing these things. I want to actively reinstate these. I don't want to, be like, oh, yeah, look, bystanders and the thing. Because, oh yeah, look at all these delicious luxuries which we're never going to get to enjoy in our lives. No, I don't want that. I want to, you know, I'm seeking out these treasures and I'm going to bring these back, people, I guess. So, thank you for that. I hope you've enjoyed me in a suit. I'm not a mod. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I'm a machinist. Okay, a machinist is what I am, I guess. But I do love machines. And yeah, thank you for that. And let's be nice to each other, everyone, because then we can have anything we want. Well, thank you.